A sinister power cloaked in leather and spurred by rebellion emerged from the shadows of the 20th century. The name Hell's Angels alone was enough to strike fear into the hearts of many. Their mysterious leader, Sonny Barger, seemed to live on the outside of society, constantly testing the limits of what was considered acceptable. They made their mark in history with every turn of their turbulent journey, leaving a wake of destruction and unrelenting defiance in their wake. Let's check out what specific actions or decisions did this Hell's Angels boss take that made him the most brutal of all the gang leaders. Born in Modesto, California on October 8, 1938, Sonny Barger is a man who defied all odds to become one of the most notorious and celebrated figures in the world of outlaw biker gangs. His mother abandoned him and his father to raise him after 4 months when she runs off with a Trailways bus driver. His father is a day laborer who spends his nights and most of his money at waterfront bars, often bringing home women and children who have been abused. In 1956, Barger co-founded his first motorbike club, the Oakland Panthers, with a group of fellow military veterans, but things changed for him as he found his true calling in life. Having joined the Army with a forged birth certificate and being kicked out 14 months later when his deception was discovered back home, Barger struggled to find his place in the world. Hurry Up and Barge, one of the most infamous and feared members, Barger eventually becomes president of the Oakland Hells Angels and travels throughout the state of California negotiating territory and alliances with other Hells Angels chapters. However, with great power comes great corruption, and by 1960, the Oakland Hells Angels have established a massive narcotics network, becoming one of the most dangerous drug-dealing organizations in the country. In the early 1960s, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club grew in size and notoriety, becoming one of the most feared outlaw biker gangs in the United States. Along with their increasing notoriety comes an increasing number of run-ins with the law and a growing number of slayings, making Barger a symbol of everything that is wrong with the criminal underworld. Despite Sonny Barger's presence at the Altamont concert and the fact that he was not involved in the stabbing, he was not charged in connection with the incident. The event and the Hells Angels' involvement cast a dark shadow over the club's contribution to the concert and the lives of those who attended. Meredith Hunter, 18, was killed when she was stabbed by a Hells Angel after aiming a firearm at the stage. But this was not the end of his brutality. There was one more person who was killed by Barger. Do you know who we're talking about? We will let you know soon, but before that, in the 1970s, there were some other challenges waiting for him. Barger faced more legal trouble and was eventually sentenced to 4 years in prison for possession of 37 grams of heroin and possession of an illegal firearm. This period marks a turning point for the Hells Angels, as the federal government begins to take a more aggressive stance against outlaw biker gangs, specifically targeting the Hells Angels. Although the legacy stopped him from living life to the fullest, he continues to ride the open road, eventually expressing a preference for high-powered Hondas and BMWs over the Angels' traditional Harley choppers. Through it all, Sonny Barger never loses his edge. He remains a rebel to the end, defying authority and pushing the limits of what is possible. Later in 1972, Barger, along with Hells Angels members Sergey Walton, Donald Duane, Whitey Smith, and Oakland Gary Popkin, was accused of murdering Servio Winston Aguero on May 21st. Aguero was a drug dealer from McAllen, Texas, who had traveled to Oakland with a shipment of narcotics for sale. Richard Ivaldi, a prosecution witness, said that he saw Barger shoot and kill Aguero in the bedroom of an absent acquaintance's house, and that Barger then ordered the others to set fire to the building. After a 7-week trial in which Ivaldi's veracity was called into question, Barger and his 3 co-defendants were found not guilty on December 29, 1972. Sharon Gruhike, Barger's girlfriend, said she was in bed with him at the time of the murder, and thus had no reason to suspect him. So these were some of the ruthless life decisions taken by the founder Sonny Barger. What motivated him to do that is maybe his will to establish his dominance and fear over others. Introducing the epitome of fear, the most feared man in the history of Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, also known as the HA, the Red and White and the 81 have carved their name into the annals of infamy. With 6,000 members in 467 chapters across 59 countries, one name reverberates with a resonance all its own: Frank Armin Hanebuth. Brace yourselves to know more about him. In Garbsen-Osterwald, Germany, Frank was born into a middle-class family. From an ordinary life, he became the leader of the Hells Angels in Europe. But how did it all start? Fate took him from carpentry to Hanover's red light district, and in 1995 he rose to prominence as a president of the Hanover chapter of the Bones Motorcycle Club. Let's have a look at how did this journey shape his destiny. In 1999, Frank joined the Hells Angels and became a powerful leader in Hanover, Germany. His chapter grew in wealth and influence, making Frank a respected figure in the criminal world. However, his reign was short-lived. In 2000, he faced arrest for trying to set up brothels in Hamburg. He was found guilty of a violent crime and spent 3 tough years in prison. But Frank didn't let this setback break him. After his release, he focused on expanding the Hells Angels in Hanover and throughout Germany. He was praised by the media for bringing peace to the once chaotic Steindorfertal, a neighborhood known for its violent clashes between Albanian, Russian, and Turkish gangs. But did you know that Frank Armin Hanebuth had a different side too? Yes, you heard it right. Newspapers like Hannoversche Allgemeine Zeitung and the New Press revealed his sophistication and respectability. Through his attorney, Getz Werner von Fromberg, Frank built connections with political and business elites in Hanover. But then, on May 24, 2012, a raid by the State Criminal Police Office of Lower Saxony and GSG 9 shook the underworld. What happened next? The investigation into alleged contract killings ordered by Hanebuth was dropped due to lack of evidence, leaving behind an air of mystery. After the raid, he sought refuge in Mallorca, where he assumed the role of the president of the local Hells Angels chapter. But his sanctuary would be short-lived. On July 23, 2013, he was arrested in Mallorca, facing a multitude of charges. As the man in charge of the Hells Angels operations in Spain, he and his fellow club members were accused of forming a criminal organization, promoting illegal prostitution, drug trafficking, and money laundering. Following his arrest, he spent 4 weeks in solitary confinement before being remanded in normal custody in September 2013. In October of the same year, he was transferred to Madrid along with 17 other suspects. His confinement continued in the high-security wing of a prison in El Puerto in Santa Maria, where he awaited his trial. Throughout his tumultuous journey, he defied the odds. In July 2015, 2 years after his initial arrest, he was released from custody on a bail amounting to 60,000 euros. However, his freedom came with strict conditions, requiring him to appear at the police station once a week. But here's the twist. In July 2017, amidst the ongoing legal proceedings, Hanebuth found solace in the union of marriage. Can you believe it? He married his longtime girlfriend, Anna Sarah Naumann, in a ceremony held in Bissendorf near Hanover, making a personal triumph amidst the turmoil. After a lengthy legal battle, his trial in Spain on charges of membership in a criminal organization finally began in January 2023. And let me tell you, he was the only defendant who used his right to a final statement before the trial was adjourned Friday evening, and he used it to insist that his organization was democratic. We are not a criminal organization. We are the only biker club in the world that is based on a democratic structure. That means one person, one vote, he said. He denied that there was a president of the group at a national or international level, claiming that each chapter is independent. His lawyer had previously requested the court during the closing arguments to acquit Hanebuth. But Spanish prosecutors are asking the judge overseeing the trial to fine him 4.2 million euros for the money laundering charge. The trial is expected to last several weeks. Prosecutors are seeking a 13-year prison sentence for him, as they consider him a key individual in the scheme that moved his group from Hanover to Mallorca after pressure in Germany increased. Let's step into the shadows of the feared Mongols biker club, where an enigmatic leader holds all the cards and calls all the shots. Shrouded in mystery, this figure holds sway with an iron fist and strikes fear into the hearts of all. Who is the cunning puppeteer pulling the strings of the Brotherhood's might? Scott Jr. Ericson is the most fearsome Mongol leader ever. In the year 1980, Scott Jr. Ericson became a member of the Mongol motorcycle gang. He served as president of the National Club 4 times and saw it expand from a few hundred members in California to thousands of members all over the world. Junior prioritized the Mongols over everything else, demonstrating that the Mongols are more than simply a motorcycle club, they are a brotherhood, which is a large part of the reason the club has become as well known as it is today, a brotherhood for which he had been willing to lay down his life for 30 years. A friend and Junior went fishing at the lake in 1974 when he was very young. A large man with a lengthy beard and hair rode up on a motorcycle and parked it near the lake while they were there. As they watched the rider dismount and light up, they saw that guy was wearing a vest with a Mongols motorcycle club patch. Even though the man was only there for about 10 minutes, the impression he left on 14-year-old Junior, who was there to see it, remained with him forever. Do you know what he did next with his thought? He began daydreaming about owning a Harley-Davidson motorcycle after picking up Easy Rider magazine and reading them religiously. At the age of 18 in 1978, Junior spent $3,400 on a Harley-Davidson Super Glide. Not long after arriving in California, he began to hear reports of a bloody conflict between 2 of the largest motorcycle clubs, the Hells Angels and the Mongols, over the state's territory. Junior began interacting with other club members as time went on. Junior joined the Mongols that day and began participating in weekend riots with them. After a few months, he was invited to the clubhouse of the Mongols' San Diego chapter, where he was formally introduced to the chapter's members and president. Junior's personality and demeanor changed for the worse the day he joined the gang. His brothers had given him a Smith & Wesson .38 Special as an initiation present, and he had grown his hair and beard long. Junior had no fear and thought that he was invincible when he first joined the Mongol Motorcycle Club. But he quickly learned otherwise when 3 of his brothers were killed in the first year. 2 years later, Junior and his brothers got into a fight at a pub with a member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, and Junior wound up shooting and killing the Hells Angel. Local publications blamed the Mongols Motorcycle Club for the shooting, and the police went on a manhunt for the gang's members when the incident gained widespread media attention. After hearing that 3 of his brothers had been arrested and charged with first-degree murder and that the police had issued a warrant for his arrest, Junior hastily got out of town, transferred to a Mongol chapter in Tulsa, changed his name, and hid in Oklahoma for 6 months with the help of his Mongol brothers. Junior's arrest didn't come long after. In 1986, at the age of 26, Junior was paroled out of prison. He was happy to be out of prison, but he was unhappy with the conditions of his parole, which stated that he was not to have any contact with any member of the Mongols Motorcycle Club for 1 year, and if he did, he would be sent back to prison. Unwilling to turn around to comply with his parole, Junior got a lawful job, but the day he was released, he reconnected with his brothers and almost immediately became the vice president of the Mongols San Diego chapter. A year later, he was asked to become the Mongols' national president, making him the youngest national president in the club's history. As time went on, Junior became increasingly devoted to the Mongols, to the detriment of nearly all of his other connections. In 1998, Junior and one of his club brothers were out at a pub when they were attacked by a man wielding a knife. To defend themselves, Junior smashed a glass over the assailant's head, knocking him out. Junior and his brother thought the incident was over, so they rode off on their motorcycles. However, the man decided to press charges, and a warrant was issued for Junior's arrest a few days later. When he was taken into custody, Junior tried to explain that he had acted in self-defense, but the police officers didn't seem to care. After a favorable judgment was overturned and Junior's return to jail was ordered, the parole officer found that he had breached his parole. Junior became a folk hero in the Golden State because he tirelessly fought for the rights of Mongols everywhere.